Okay, I call the meeting of the Excellence in Student Achievement Subcommittee to order. It is 5:02. Do I have any action on the minutes from October 18th?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Unanimous? Great. All right, understanding by design, UBD, approval schedule. Christine.
Thank you. So the first page of your packet of fun for this evening is the process for approving the understanding by design units, our curriculum units that we've been working diligently on, all the staff in particular and the building leaders. So looking at the process of how this would go through EISA first, and then eventually be approved by the board, and then it would be uploaded to the district website under curriculum, so anyone could have access to see those curriculum units, whether that be a staff member, a board member, etc. So this is something we want to do anyway, but this also coincides with one of our main goals for our NEASC reaccreditation process. So in here, what I've done is I've just proposed a schedule and a timeline for how those units could be approved. So looking at the January 17th date for our next EISA date, we could review math, at least math, maybe music, K-12. This is very tight, but I did this on purpose because just in case there are snowstorms or things get backed up, I would want early fall to approve the others.
Okay.
Our decennial visit for NEASC is scheduled for December 1st to the 4th of next year. So our target is really just to make sure we have it by December, everything uploaded, tied with a pretty bow and set.
Okay.
The wonderful thing about curriculum is it's constantly moving and changing. So if we needed to tweak things or for, let's say, new teachers come into the district and, social studies, let's say something happens from the state, we would then be able to pull that unit down or units, tweak them, go through some of the process again, and put them back up. So this is something that, yes, it's set in stone because that's where they're set to teach. So that's really that accountability piece. So we can walk into a classroom, know exactly what vocabulary is going to be taught, what the standards, what the assessments look like. The parents will know this is what's going to be covered in class, this is what's going to be read, and then also what the assessments are as well. But from there, we have to kind of recognize that over time, or even in a few years, depending on what changes here, because students change,
right,
and then what changes at the state level, those would be tweaked accordingly, and then go through the EISA and then also the board to be reapproved. So this is kind of a timeline, a rough draft of a timeline to look at what we want to do. Math is probably the easiest to go through first, and I can kind of give you a brief training prior to when we review these documents as to what you're going to be looking at. I say math first because math K-12 is based on 2 programs.
Right.
We have Envision Math K-5, and then we have Reveal 6-12.
Right.
So this would allow for us to look at things that are solely based on programs. And what's nice, both Envision and Reveal are organized in a UBD format.
Perfect.
So the math teachers, as they're meeting, to make sure everything is aligned and works K-12 and has that, that flow, that ebb and flow. So we're looking to really go through at least that section relatively quickly because everything's already set in there. I mean, from the essential questions, this is the vocabulary for the unit, so it spells it out for the teachers. But once we get down into like science or social studies or some of the singletons at the high school, that'll be a little bit of a heavier lift. But we're going through a process right now to revise things with the teachers. Everything will be formatted the same. They have rubrics and checklists and additional trainings of what criteria needed to be met. So there's not going to be large surprises or anything that's flagged. I would have those discussions with you previously before we even reviewed them here. It's something that we're a little hesitant of, where a teacher's proposing putting something in a curriculum. We would have those discussions prior to any of these meetings.
Okay. Awesome.
This is basically just aligning the curriculum.
Correct, and we're just looking to approve the written documents the teachers have been working on. And that's why you see in August, I also gave a nice little lift because literacy K-5 is the CKLA program.
Right.
Also very much aligned to a UBD
Okay.
format. With the teachers new to the program this year, I didn't want them writing the documents as they were starting.
You want to give them a little bit of time.
I wanted
Right.
to give them the time to get used to the program, have the proper training, and then I will either pay teachers that are willing to work on it over the summer, or I will write it myself and then have them review it. I don't want to require them to write it over the summer. It's been a busy year for them, but I want to at least offer a chance for them to work on that by grade level.
Okay.
So we'll have that at our first meeting in August,
Okay.
and if not, by September the latest.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I think this is great.
Okay.
I think as long as you're happy with the timeline,
Thank you.
we're,
It's tight, but I think it's just needed because
Right.
if we look at something, review something that we have questions about, or if the board does, the larger board, I have time to bring it back to the teachers along with the building leaders to make any of those revisions necessary.
okay, awesome.
Great, thank you.
Christine, thank you for your hard work on this.
Yeah,
You're very welcome.
You'll really get a sense of what Christine is doing when she gives the strategic plan update tonight. It's quite
Okay.
impressive.
I'm
And I
not,
wanted her to present it.
Yeah.
Because I want her to get credit for the parts that she's doing a really great job with.
It's a group effort.
It is, but you're spearheading it, and I want you to get
Thank you.
no poo-pooing credit.
Okay.
Not letting that happen.
Many of us.
I know.
all right, so now, distance learning surveys.
So what this is, it's a proposed draft brought to you by the building level administration as well as myself as a proposal to look at possibilities of distance learning during a snow day, if we want. This is like to start a conversation. If it's something that we want to look into, where the majority of the districts,
I have to just say, Heather's already like, oh, God.
I know,
It's okay,
As a
Heather.
parent, I
I know.
We've
So it's
discussed
okay.
this and I've shared my, but hear out, because there's some legit, yeah, I have to be swayed myself, so I'm with you on
well,
this.
but I think
But we gave it a new name.
we,
It's
that's
called
what it
distance
is.
learning now.
Well, it-
Not Blizzard.
Not Blizzard.
So I want to bring this forward because from the building leaders' perspectives, they're hearing it loud and clear from the teachers. Two things. One, other districts in this area do this.
Yes.
It's around what used to be known as like a blizzard bag, etc. There would be up to 5 days that we could use this during the course of the school year. It would not be days that we would have a true blizzard, a nor'easter where there's a possibility of losing power. That would still be a traditional snow day.
Right.
It would be for the days that, we just need an extra day because they haven't cleaned anything up kind of day. Or we're set for something, but the roads just look slick. It's not for the ice storm days or any of those larger issues. Part of the rationale for it is students in the district, because we're by hours and not days like other people, like other towns around us, students are not having enough seat time. They feel that students don't have enough seat time, and they're trying to do one of two things. Have it done during the course of the school year by using a model like this, or have students tag on those extra days in June. They're kind of looking at, well, we don't want them to have that extra time in June where they're trying to get to summer vacations and summer camps, etc. Could we use this as a model like other districts around us use? Or do we want to look at something more where we have students in June and if we need to, we push back graduation?
So don't we already have snow days built into the calendar to account
It's
for?
super complicated. So we have, because we go by the hours model, and
Right.
our days are the length, it's built into the hours.
Right,
So we get to the point where last year at the end, we were pretty close to having to add a day at the end of the year
right,
to meet the criteria.
Right.
And what we did with next year's calendar, which you'll see in January, we worked, it was a lot easier this year because we were already more closely aligned to the
Mhm.
sending and receiving districts for SST.
Mhm.
So it was easier to get it set up this year.
Yep.
You'll see that there's some additional PD days built into the year to try to avoid having 6 at the end of the year. Because what happens is the teachers have a 186-day contract.
Right.
But the students, hours-wise, end up coming in around 175, 176 with regard to snow days.
Yeah, not even.
So it's really tricky to get to that end point and not have 5 days left at the end of the year. And the point that the admins were making is that if we do, let's just say that we did a hybrid model where we did the first 4 or 5 snow days are regular old snow yays. Kids go outside and play. Y'all know how this is really hard for me to talk about because I have my own opinion and I'm trying to support the team here because I don't necessarily agree, but I understand the concerns and I support the concerns. So the concern is when we start getting into day 6, 7, 8, and 9,
Right.
they're missing so much learning that they're nervous about keeping the flow. Right?
And I can appreciate that, but I think my concern is, kids have a lot of screen time, already as it is.
Mhm.
But for a lot of parents, when there is a snow day, parents still have to go to work.
Mhm.
Right.
And there's no one to monitor,
It's a struggle. It's a real struggle.
like,
And you have to have 80% attendance.
Well, that's
for
it.
to
And if
count.
you only have
that's-
20%
yeah,
show up and
80%
doing the
is
work,
big.
I don't know if we'll get 80% attendance. I mean,
We don't have to decide on this today. The
Yeah.
goal is to give you a pitch.
and I don't want to be pessimistic, but I worry. I would like to, if there's a way we can put it for like, if we've already exhausted the 4 or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that would be my thing too. It's like, we have to have exhausted.
Be at the end of it.
Yeah, we have to have exhausted the number of snow days we can have without having to extend school before we touch
to
this.
Okay.
Because I mean, the kids just need snow days.
Mhm.
They need them. Like, they need a break. They need to be able to go play and have fun and not have to, like, it's nice to sleep in every once in a while when you're a kid.
and I have friends that
Like-
do the blizzard bags, and a lot of the times it is so frustrating. There's so much extra work.
Oh my
or
gosh,
it's-
all
or
I
it's
see
busy
is
work.
parents posting about how frustrated they are with the blizzard
there
bags
really is
and
a conversation about adding, there's room at the end of the calendar. If I need to add 3 or 4 days
Right.
to make up for some snow days, we can go there too.
Okay, I lived through the ice storm of '97. I went to school. I went to my senior year on 2 Saturdays so we could graduate on time.
The problem is that those days happen after assessments.
Yeah.
It doesn't help us move the data.
It doesn't, so I wish we went by days and not by hours.
Yeah.
That would help us
Is that something
academically.
that, I guess, is that a different conversation?
That's a huge conversation
Yeah.
because we don't
It's a
agree on
huge
that. and
I was gonna say, because I
Yeah.
thought, I've always been told that the fact that we go by hours is a benefit to us. And that's why a lot of times we're able to not have to extend our school year and other schools have to extend their school
I
year.
support dealing with
Like,
the problem. I don't support changing that days. So I'm open to supporting the problem.
So, right, I just, my concern is instructionally, they're missing key days prior to those big assessments in the spring.
Yep.
Right.
And I don't know what a good answer to solve that problem is.
Right.
Because making it up in June is not gonna help.
Yeah.
Because the
It's too late.
assessments are done. And as the assessments, there's more and more pressure on doing well on the assessments. I don't know if we've missed 6 days. You miss 6 days, every 5 to 6 days, every single year as a student. That's my worry with this.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, like from a teaching standpoint, I did blizzard bags as a teacher. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of like extra planning, etc. You know, from Bakey's standpoint, they have to send homework. It's all this stuff because the kids aren't online. So there's absolute headaches around it. I just don't know what to do instructionally where we're missing so many days in the winter, like key days of learning.
And it varies so much. There's been one year where we missed 2 or 3. And then we have a year like my first year where it was like 12.
Yeah.
My first year was so bad that we actually gave the teachers 4 days of flex professional development, and we gave them a menu and held them accountable for it, the board, because we were gonna end up going into July, and you can't do that.
Well, now that year though, I remember we still got up before Timberlane.
don't
I
know.
remember.
Yeah, we definitely,
2017.
And Timberlane had, because I remember that year,
Mhm.
and our Timberlane had blizzard bags, and I remember being holy cow, going past Pollard School, like, they're still in school.
Because Timberlane goes by days
Days.
and by not hours.
exactly.
So they'll
So
end
they
up
go
going
by
until the
full
mid or end
school
of June.
days
Right.
and not by just hours.
Yeah, but
Right.
we weren't like, I feel like we weren't even affected, but I guess you're bringing up something I hadn't thought about, which is the assessment part, but
Right.
I'm not
That's
sure if this really, does this really,
Do they get
I
into
Does it
don't know-
really-
I don't know
is
what
that
a
really-
good answer is. I think they're looking, like the teachers and the building level administrators are looking at all the other districts around us. And when I look at what we had to do for 6 days last year, I'm happy to plan anything to work with them. The teachers were hostile, honestly, like they had had enough. We went until June 26th. We were out, the last district to be out, like the staff was. So even though the kids are out, the staff is still
Yeah, no, I don't
here.
want the staff to.
So I guess, so that's from their standpoint, they're trying to look at this from the instructional piece, but also having the teachers here until the last few days of June. So there's those pieces too. I don't know what a good answer is. I think they're trying to propose this because they're in meetings with their peers and they're sitting with other principals, assistant
Right.
principals, et cetera, and they're all doing this.
I think we should, can somebody move us into non-public?
Yeah.
Under reputation?
Yeah, I'll move us into non-public, RSA 91A:3, Roman numeral 2. I'm guessing it's gonna be letter C.
Yeah.
All right,